watching Primetime. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Let's take a look at the top headlines this evening. India's foreign trade policy offers additional incentives worth 8,450 crore rupees to boost exports. India's services PMI contracts in November comes in at a 3-month low of 48.5 as GST triggers a deterioration in business performance. Markets end flat ahead of the RBI policy. 88% of the economists polled by Bloomberg expect the Monetary Policy Committee to leave rates unchanged tomorrow. Godrej gets fresh orders for supersonic BrahMos missile components, will deliver 100 airframes in the next 3 to 5 years. And the Supreme Court rejects plea to defer hearing the Ayodhya title dispute till after the 2019 elections, sets the next date of hearing for February 8th. Now, in its bid to boost exports, the government has doled out incentives in the mid-term review of the foreign trade policy. Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu said that the incentive rate on merchandise exports from India scheme will be raised by 2% across the board for the MSME sector. This is likely to benefit exports in leather, handicrafts, carpets, sports goods, agriculture, marine and electronic component sectors. Expressing hope that GST will spur growth in the export sector, Suresh Prabhu said that attaining the exports target by 2020 remains challenging.
You have to identify market, identify product. So strategy has to be market specific, product specific. So we already started identifying the markets, create a very transparent, efficient system in which all export related formalities can happen through one digital platform.
Now, the 8,450 crore rupees SOP for exporters and labour incentive businesses is in addition to the incentives worth 25,000 crores already available to traders. The foreign trade policy has strong incentives for the MSMEs and exporters. That's the word coming in from Alok Chaturvedi, the Directorate General of Foreign Trade. He also says that GST will spur growth in the export sector. Listen in.
A strong incentive for the labor intensive, for the MSMEs which have been affected because of various things unfolding in the domestic sector, and it will really give a boost to employment generation, to export from these sectors. This is a temporary solution only. This 8,000 crore will do a lot about the exports, to employment, for the farmers' income it will increase, but GST Council is working on that so that even the GST taxes can also be built into some kind of duty drawback kind, because that is the easiest and the best for the exporters.
And Bloomberg News' Unni Krishnan sums up the key takeaways from the foreign trade policy meeting in this report.
The foreign trade policy released today had essentially 3 parts to it. The first one was obviously the amount of money that's been offered to the exporters, essentially to tide over the crisis they are finding from a weak global environment and also due to the chaotic rollout of the goods and services tax. So about 8,000 crores that was handed out today was almost a third of what was earlier handed out in terms of 25,000 crore rupees given to exporters to essentially boost India's share in global trade. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it was the segments that it addressed. I mean, there's a clear realization that goods and services tax rollout and the demonetization has impacted the small and medium scale sector, which forms a bulk of India's exports, or the ones who are propelling India's overseas shipments. So a large part of it has gone to the small and medium enterprises in the money that was handed out today. The other aspect is to the garment sector. That's also been badly hit by both demonetization as well as GST. So that's the second aspect of it. The third aspect of the foreign trade policy, and that's the overriding theme, is essentially an admission that doubling India's export performance by 2020 seems a bit bit stretched, and there would be a need to review some of those targets. I mean, those are informal targets. There was this target of about $900 billion worth of total exports, including services and merchandise. So that's something that's there's been a sort of an admission from if you read the fine print in the foreign trade policy today, that achieving those kind of targets by 2020 seem a bit stretched, and who knows? I mean, possibly it seems impossible right now.
All right, so is this booster shot or this incentive for exporters and MSMEs, which has been announced today, enough? What more will be needed at a time when the export sector is struggling? We'll be talking more about that on Primetime Debate a little later in the show. GK Gupta, president of FAO, will be joining us. That's the Federation of Indian Exporters Organization. Ajay Dua, former secretary DIPP, will be speaking with us. The GST angle will be explained by Abhishek Rastogi, partner at Katan, and Shankar Iyer, political economy analyst, will be also speaking about the entire issue. Now, India's services sector contracted in the month of November. Nikkei Services PMI came in at 48.5 for November versus 51.7 in October. Remember, when the purchasing managers index is above 50, it indicates expansion, while a reading below 50 means contraction. Nikkei India Composite PMI, meanwhile, came in at 50.3 in November versus 51.3 in October. Explaining the decline, IHS Markit, which puts together a survey, said that anecdotal evidence suggests that GST has dented customer activity. Underlying data highlighted that service activity fell in response to a drop in new business during November. According to anecdotal evidence, July's GST continued to affect businesses as it led to sluggish demand for lower customer turnout. As with the case, the rate of contraction in new work was modest, and I'm quoting here from their report. Now, India plans to overhaul its tax assessment and investigation process for the top 500 firms in the country, according to Bloomberg. This is part of the plan to improve ease of doing business and curbing corruption. The plan will be introduced in the union budget and will use an online system for all scrutiny of tax returns. The e-assessment system will require the information technology wing of the Direct Tax Office to undergo a major revamp. The new system will be location agnostic, as assessing officials will be chosen electronically, making their location irrelevant. Finance Ministry spokesperson D.S. Malik declined to comment on the proposed measure. The Finance Minister kicked off his pre-budget meetings with agriculturists today and was presented with a list of demands which include a minimum income security among other measures. Arguing that the minimum support price mechanism is less than effective and not able to ensure a fair price, agricultural economist Ashok Gulati strongly advocated for a better buffering mechanism in the country. Lack of structural reforms, he said, was one of the main reasons for a rise in farm loan waivers.
इस समय कुछ ऐसी कमोडिटीज़ हैं जिनके प्राइसेस जो हैं वो एमएसपी से नीचे चल रहे हैं, तो फार्मर जो है घाटे में जा रहा है। उसके लिए सुझाव आए कि भाई ये जो प्राइस वॉलेटिलिटी होती है, कभी एकदम बिल्कुल नीचे चले जाता है, कभी ऊपर चले जाता है, तो उसको किस तरह से हम ठीक कर सकते हैं। तो उस प्राइस वॉलेटिलिटी, क्योंकि ये एक सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा हमारे सामने सेक्रेटरी साहब ने रखा, भाई इसके ऊपर बताइए क्या क्या हो सकता है। तो उसमें आया कि स्टॉकिंग, बफर स्टॉकिंग उसकी कीजिए। उसमें आया कि फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ मिलके एक वैल्यू चेन खड़ी कीजिए, जैसे मिल्क में खड़ी की हमने। एक निर्णय लिया था, प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइज कंपनीज का इंटरेस्ट है वो किसान का प्राइस और कंज्यूमर का प्राइस के बहुत अंतर है, वो अंतर कम करने के लिए प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कंपनीज आए तो कम उनका अच्छा रेट रिलीज होता और कंज्यूमर्स की कम रेट में मिलता। बट लेकिन प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कंपनीज का इसमें वो इनकम टैक्स में 30% टैक्स लगा दिया था और पेड अप ऑथराइज कैपिटल की भी फीस लगाया था। इसके लिए हम फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर को पूछा, पूरा इनकम टैक्स निकालो, ऑथराइज कैपिटल का निकालो, ये सेपरेट कोड नंबर दे के इसको दिलाने के लिए ज़रूरत है, इसका सेपरेट इंक्रीज करने का है। इसके बारे में अभी फार्मर्स कैन फार्म में ग्रुप एंड वो कम रेट में भी उनका रिलेशन ज़्यादा आता, कम रेट में सस्ता में भी कंज्यूमर को मिलता, वो सूचना हम दिया था।
Now, trade union leaders also met the finance minister to present their budget wish list. General Secretary of Hind Mazdoor Sangh, Harbhajan Singh Sidhu, has asked the government to increase the minimum wage of workers to 18,000 rupees a month. He also asked the government to focus more on job creation and hike the minimum pension amount.
इसके ऊपर 4 स्ट्राइकें अभी तक हो चुकी हैं, 5 स्ट्राइकें, और उसमें हमने उनसे मांग की है कि आप चेयरमैन हैं, एक कमेटी के प्रधानमंत्री ने नियुक्त की हुई है 5 मिनिस्टरों की, आप तुरंत बुला के, क्योंकि उसकी 12 सूत्री मांग पत्र का मैक्सिमम बजट के साथ रिलेटेड है, क्योंकि उसमें हमने मिनिमम वेज 18,000 मांगा है, पेंशन 3,000 मांगी है, और बेरोजगारों को रोजगार हमने मांगा है, महंगाई पे कंट्रोल हमने कहने के लिए बात की है उसमें।
Now, the RBI is expected to maintain a status quo in its policy announcement tomorrow. Though growth is inching higher, the rise in inflation could sway the RBI in favor of keeping its benchmark rates on hold. Just what can we expect from Urjit Patel tomorrow? Well, Ira Dugal has the special report.
The Monetary Policy Committee will give its 5th review for the current financial year on Wednesday. If you go by headline expectations, it's going to be a no-surprise policy. So the Bloomberg News poll of economists suggests that out of 46 economists polled, about 41 said that there would be no change in rates. 5, however, a small minority said that there is a possibility of a 25 basis points rate cut. I'm actually going to start with the rationale that 5 economist community may be looking at, and they may be focusing on the growth numbers. Now, remember, we got another GVA GDP set of growth numbers, but they gave you very conflicting signals. This is the GVA growth chart, which looks at GVA headline, but also core GVA, which takes out agriculture and government services. Now, if you deconstruct the GVA number, you get various analysis. This chart, for instance, tells you that you are seeing a quicker rebound in core GVA than you are seeing in headline GVA. Headline GVA getting subdued because of weakness in government finances and also agriculture. So you could argue that rates will have no real role to play in the headline GVA, especially since the core GVA seems to be moving along expected lines. But if you deconstruct that number slightly differently, you get various other points of view. One saying that consumer spending was weak this quarter, and that's worrying. Another saying that gross fixed capital formation is picking up, and that's encouraging. So the basic point here is that the cloudiness on the growth numbers remains, and perhaps the MPC, if in its judgment, feels that the downside risks on growth are still substantial, and if the negative output gap could widen, maybe they could vote by a majority to cut rates by another 25 basis points. But the debate doesn't end with the growth numbers. It goes on with the inflation numbers, because those are not particularly clear either. So the last set of numbers you got, the headline number was at 3.6% on CPI, but the core CPI number was at 4.5%. And we know that there are upside risks coming in from oil prices, global commodity prices, or metals. We've also seen some pricing pressure starting to reflect in PMI numbers. Does all of that mean that the headline inflation number moves closer towards the core number and moves towards 4.5% as the RBI had predicted? If that is the case, then the MPC, a majority of it, may not be interested in cutting rates any further and may call for a status quo. Now, you know, the growth inflation numbers always important, the growth inflation commentary always important, but the bond market squarely focused on liquidity this time around. Bond yields have been on the rise, so they are looking at what the RBI says on its liquidity management policy. Now, let's go straight to the end of the chart, where you see that bond yields have now risen to above 7%, 7.06 or so. So the gap between the repo rate and the 10-year yield is more than 100 basis points. Now, is the RBI comfortable with that? Bond traders suggest that they're not particularly comfortable. So you may see RBI officials giving some commentary suggesting that they intend to maintain liquidity at comfortable levels. Maybe they will give you a hint that open market bond sales will not resume. They'd cancel the last one in November. So if you get indications to that extent, you could see market rates fall even if the policy rate does not. That's the structure of what is being expected and what's being watched out for. Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. is the decision.
Now, Indian markets incurred marginal losses ahead of RBI's monetary policy decision due tomorrow. The Sensex fell 0.2%, while the Nifty 50 ended largely unchanged. The power index posted sharp cuts, while the Bankex was the top sectoral gainer. Among individual stocks, Bajaj Finance, Yes Bank and SBI registered sharp gains, while Hero MotoCorp, Wipro and ONGC incurred significant losses. And what comes as a blow for Adani Enterprises, Bank of China and Investec Bank have ruled out funding the company's coal mining project in Australia. This comes 2 days after Industrial and Commercial Bank of China refused to fund the project, while China Construction Bank has also ruled out funding the project. The controversial mining project has been plagued by environmental and regulatory concerns. Not that just it became a major issue in recent elections in Queensland state. Australian Labor Party, which argued against the project, is in the pole position to win the elections. In a big boost for the Make in India drive in the defence sector, Godrej & Boyce received a fresh order to supply airframe fuel management systems for the BrahMos air-launched cruise missile. This comes barely a fortnight after India successfully test-fired the air version of the missile from the Indian Air Force's Sukhoi 30 MKI combat jet. Bloomberg Quint's Sajid Mangat caught up with Sudhir Mishra of BrahMos and Jamshed Godrej of Godrej & Boyce at their manufacturing unit to understand the capabilities and specifications of this new order.
It all depends on the threat perception. Sometimes they may decide 350 kilometers or 400 kilometers or 100 kilometers. So it's just a matter of numbers. And let the user decide what do they want. And BrahMos will deliver. We have always delivered.
What about the mini sizes? Because I assume that the air version was little lighter than the normal land and naval version by 2.4 and 2.9 I think tons. That's and you're looking at mini versions as well, because currently the Sukhoi can carry only one BrahMos, and you're looking at multiple BrahMos there. When is that and how far are we from that order? And I assume that Godrej will be the one who will be delivering that as well.
As of now, this is, I will not say conceptualization phase, but it is in the third phase, when we are talking to the users, trying to decide the numbers so that we can make proper investment, capital allocation, and plan the business.
We have come a long way from 2000, when we didn't have the design, or we had the design in Russian and we have to decipher it, to now when the private sector like Godrej and other companies are able to build it indigenously. But you said in the conference that you still like to have the Russians participate in it in some way in delivering engines and other materials. What's prompting us Indian companies to deliver those engines, because that brings down the cost effectively, right?
Today, 65% of the BrahMos is made in the country, and BrahMos weapon system, that is made in the country, and 52% missile is made in the country. In another 1 year, we will make more than 65% of the missile in the country. We want our partner also to share some business, some profit. That is why I said that I would not like to 100% make it in the country. But if it comes to the capability, yes, we are capable to manufacture the whole missile in the country. But it's a business decision. That is why we are getting the things from there.
Now, amidst the ongoing Bitcoin rally, Reserve Bank of India has once again warned against the use of cryptocurrencies. RBI said that it had not given any license or authorization to any entity or company to operate using Bitcoin or any other virtual currency. India, like most other countries, has taken a cautious stance on Bitcoin. Recently, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had said that cryptocurrencies are not recognized legal tender as of now. Now, the Tamil Nadu government has moved a Madras High Court to restrain Nissan from proceeding with international arbitration against the central government. Nissan's arbitration suit is related to disputes which involve refund of promised value-added tax. The response comes days after Nissan Motor started international arbitration against India, saying the government failed to keep its end of the bargain on promised tax break for its factory in Tamil Nadu. Let's take a look at some national stories this evening. The Supreme Court today began the final hearing in the Ayodhya land dispute case. A special 3-judge bench is hearing a total of 13 appeals filed against the 2010 judgment of the Allahabad High Court in 4 civil suits. The High Court had in 2010 ruled a 3-way equal division of the disputed 2.77-acre property among the Sunni Waqf Board, the Nirmohi Akhara and the Lord Ram Lalla. The court has set the next date of hearing in the case case for the 8th of February, giving all the parties adequate time to together submit all documents and get them finalized in a memorandum. Senior advocates Kapil Sibal and Rajiv Dhawan, representing the Sunni Waqf Board, argued that a larger bench with either 5 or 7 judges should hear the case. Kapil Sibal also said that the case should be taken up after the 2019 general elections.
कोर्ट ने अभी कोई भी आदेश पारित करने से मना कर दिया और फर्दर कोई भी इंटरवेंशन 8 फरवरी को सिविल अपील को डेट मुकर्रर हुआ है, उसकी सुनवाई शुरू होगी। उसके पहले जितने पक्षकार हैं उनके वकीलों को आदेशित किया गया है कि कोई भी टेक्निकल खामी है उसको आप मिलजुल करके आपस में कोर्ट की रजिस्ट्री के साथ बैठकर सॉल्व करके आए और 8 तारीख के बाद कोई एडजॉर्नमेंट नहीं होगा, उस दिन से कानूनी अपीलों की सुनवाई होगी।
We have taken the stand that this is a complicated case. This is a very large case. There are 8,000 pages decision of the Allahabad High Court Lucknow bench, and there are 19,000 documents are there. So Supreme Court should not hear the case hurriedly. And secondly, we have said that in 1994, the Supreme Court has given a judgment in acquisition of the land of Babri Masjid and that area, 67-acre land. In that case, there was 5-member bench. And so many other issues came up in the discussion that also think that likely it has to be taken in this bench also. So our lawyers appeal to the Supreme Court that this issue should be referred to the larger bench.
Arpun Chaturvedi, who tracked that hearing, tells us what happened in court today.
Hearing began in the second half of the day today, and what started was that senior advocate Kapil Sibal, who was representing the Sunni Waqf Board, said that the hearing should be deferred. First, his ground was that a lot of documentation work, translation of the documents which are in other languages, and the pleadings have not yet been completed. That is why the hearing should be deferred until that is done. He also said that the translation of the whole documentation work is a huge and a humongous document, and that is why it will take time. The government on the state of UP, which was represented by Additional Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, said that no, the hearing should begin, and that of course that the government is ready to argue the matter whenever the court starts, and that it should be done as early as possible. Mr. Sibal and Mr. Rajiv Dhawan again asked for that the hearing should be deferred. Specifically, again, one of the major points that came in the hearing was that they said that since this is a case which has huge political implications and the implications on the society in general, it should be referred and started after the Lok Sabha elections of 2019, which the bench was not very inclined to entertain. And after that, what the Chief Justice today said that he has posted the matter for 8th of February when the next hearing will happen. In the meantime, he has asked all the lawyers to work together and ensure that whatever is the remaining work as far as the documents, preparation of the documents and the pleadings for the hearing is that should be completed. And after that, on 8th February, we will see this case moving forward.
Now, the verdict on the 2G spectrum allocation case will be out on the 21st of December. Special Judge O.P. Saini ordered all the accused to be present on that day. Former Telecom Minister A. Raja, DMK's Rajya Sabha member and party chief M. Karunanidhi's daughter Kanimori are among those who face prosecution in the case. Former Telecom Secretary R.K. Chandolia, promoter of Swan Telecom Shahid Balwa and MD of Unitech Sanjay Chandra also face prosecution in the case. The court will pronounce judgments in 2 cases related to the scam, one related to corruption charges and other under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, Cyclone Oki today moved closer to the southern coast near Surat in Gujarat and is expected to make landfall in the state around midnight. As per the latest forecast released by the Met Department, the cyclone is now just 390 kilometers away from Surat. The IMD has forecast a heavy rainfall at isolated places in Saurashtra and South Gujarat. The Met Center has warned that when the cyclone hits the Gujarat coast, the speed of wind would remain between 50 and 60 kilometers per hour in South Gujarat. According to the Home Ministry, at least 39 people have died and 167 are still missing after Oki hit the coasts of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The cyclone passed through the coastline of Mumbai but left the city undamaged, though a little drenched. leather tanneries have the reputation of being one of the biggest pollutants in the area. Bad odor and chemical waste discharge has prompted civic authorities to move them out of city limits. But mere relocation has not yielded the desired results, finds out Purva Chitnis, who travelled to Kanpur to meet some of the biggest leather manufacturers based in the region.
Sun rises over the Ganga, the calm we feel is shattered by the stench of garbage around us. Kanpur's water is amongst the most polluted in urban India. Residents living close by the river Ganga often complain about the noxious odor and effluents. As you can see behind me, the water is not fit for consumption and is full of discharge.
टेंडी हैं जो वहाँ से आ रहा है पानी और सुनवाई तो ये कभी हुई नहीं है, क्योंकि गंदगी यहाँ के घर वालों को देखिए कितनी गैस पड़ती है, उनके घर के बर्तन काले हो जाते हैं, लोगों के पेट में भी गैस जा रही है।
ये ट्रीटमेंट का जितना सा पानी है सब इसी में आता है और इसी में जाता है, इसी में मिलता है, इसी में लोग नहाते हैं और यही समझ लीजिए बोरिंग होती है, यही लोग आदमी जो है यूज़ करके पानी पीते हैं। 50 करोड़ आदमी जो है यहाँ कानपुर का जो है बीमार पड़ा रहता है।
Apart from the local residents, the UP government too claims that the 400 tanneries are the main cause of pollution in the Ganga. Around 100 tanneries in Kanpur have already shut down as they did not meet the NGT's emission guidelines. Local tannery owners say they are willing to comply, but red tape is a big problem.
ये सन 96 में ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट जो चालू हुआ, अब वो क्योंकि 20 वर्ष पुराना हो गया तो हम लोगों ने सोचा कि इसको अपग्रेडेशन मॉडर्नाइजेशन होना चाहिए। करीब 10 डिपार्टमेंट हैं जो सिर्फ एफ्लुएंट की मॉनिटरिंग करते हैं, जैसे एक है नमामि गंगे, यूपी पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड, सेंट्रल पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड, नेशनल गंगा बेसिन रिवर अथॉरिटी, एनजीटी, यूपी जल निगम, नगर निगम और तमाम 10 विभाग हैं। तो सबसे पहले तो इन सब विभागों को एक करके आपस में समन्वय बने और एक विभाग एक इंडस्ट्री को मतलब देखे। अब हम लोगों को कभी कहीं से लेटर आ जाता, कभी कहीं से आ जाता, हम लोगों का आधा वक्त तो उसी में जवाब देते देते गुजर जाता।
We live in this environment, we want this, we are breathing this air, we are drinking this water, so we as a citizen would like to have our air clean, our water clean, our river body Ganga river to be clean. We want our city to be clean, our country to be clean. There is certain capacity, certain constraints. We can only do to the extent we are able to do, or we are able to financially sustain. All these common effluent treatment plants have to be upgraded, and now how much government is going to support that we still do not know, but this is the project which we have to complete within 2 years.
Central Leather Research Institute also working on the new system on the effluent treatment plant, and they are giving us the assurance they will able to make the common treatment plants with the new technology where we should be able to achieve the norms and with the reasonable cost.
According to the guidelines, the water from the primary treatment center should be further treated at the common effluents plant before being discharged into the river. But a visit to the plant tells a different story.
फैक्ट्री वाला इतना दोषी नहीं जितना ये पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बहुत दोषी है। ये यहाँ बगल में ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट है, डीजल आता है, लाइट चली जाती है, डीजल तब बिक जाता है। ये समझ, ये हालात है, मोटर चलाते नहीं ना, डायरेक्ट गंगा बाईपास कर देते हैं।
अब ये टेंडी से आ रहा है, वो गंगा जी जा रहा है, अगर इससे जाता है ये जो लगा हुआ है तो इससे वो प्लांट में जो है फिल्टर होता है, लेकिन उसमें नहीं है, डायरेक्ट खुला है आपके सामने। ये टूटा हुआ है तो डायरेक्ट बस वो जा रहा है गंगा जी में।
अगर गवर्नमेंट को हकीकत में गंगा साफ करना तो अपने कर्मचारियों पर थोड़ा सख्ती करनी पड़ेगी, वरना गंगा कोई दुनिया ताकत नहीं साफ कर सकती।